Tracker. My name is Priyanka Sharma. Here's what's coming up on the show today. A dangerous storm is battering California. Hundreds of thousands are left without power. We tell you what's happening on ground. Also on the show, wildfires continue to engulf central Chile, claiming at least 123 lives so far.
Because of the impact of the weather, 7 homes that were actually impacted.
It certainly was very intense, and it certainly looks more intense.
At least 3 people have been killed as a deadly Pacific storm batters California. This is the second Pineapple Express storm to sweep the west coast in less than a week. The storm has unleashed torrential rain, triggering floods and mudslides throughout the region. Near hurricane force winds have flooded streets and brought down trees and electrical lines. More than 600,000 homes and businesses in the state were left without power. Record downpours have raised the threat of flash floods and landslides. The National Weather Service recorded over 10 inches of rain in 24 hours in Los Angeles alone. Much more is expected before the showers are due to taper off.
This is among the heaviest we've ever had. Yeah, this is bad. Right under this is bad. Yes, very bad.
Travel has been disrupted throughout the state, with highways jammed and city streets flooded. Problems with drainage regularly leave intersections flooded in Los Angeles, where infrastructure struggles to cope with even moderate amounts of rain. At Los Angeles Airport, several flights have been cancelled and delayed. Earlier, extreme weather advisories for floods, high winds and winter storm conditions were issued for about 40 million people across California. The extreme weather led Governor Gavin Newsom to declare a state of emergency for a large part of Southern California. Now, storms are increasingly surpassing what was once considered extreme. They're becoming so strong that they now need a new category. Scientists are proposing that a Category 6 should be added to the 5-step scale that measures hurricane intensity. When weather experts began using the scale in the 1970s, a Category 5 storm represented oblivion. Such a cyclone with sustained winds of at least 157 miles per hour could flatten any structure of the era. So there was no reason to give the 5th tier an upper limit. But now, in a study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Scientists have now suggested that the Category 6 label should go to any tropical cyclone with sustained winds of at least 192 miles per hour. Now, this is faster than most Ferraris. But over the last decade, if the tier existed, 5 storms would have qualified as Category 6. But with this new research, the scientists say that they hope to spur more discussion on how climate change is heightening weather hazards, especially extreme weather conditions. Chile is observing an official 2-day mourning period for the 123 people killed so far in the country's deadliest wildfires in recent history. Chile's investigative police force is probing areas where fires might have been started intentionally. According to local media, 2 suspects have been detained under the suspicion of starting fires. These visuals on your screen now show the scale of the devastation caused by the wildfires in Chile. Hundreds of people are still missing. Several families have lost their homes to these fires. About 14,000 homes have been damaged. The wildfires have raged through more than 64,000 acres across the central and southern regions of the country. The wildfires began several days ago and have severely impacted 2 coastal cities popular among tourists. That is Vina del Mar and Valparaiso. The cities that I just mentioned account for more than 1 million residents.
From one moment to the next, the fire reached the botanical park. In 10 minutes, the fire was already on us. There was smoke, the sky turned black, everything was dark. The wind felt like a hurricane. It was like being in hell.
Thousands of firefighters, military personnel and volunteers are trying to combat the flames. Chile is battling an intense summer heat wave with temperatures soaring to 40 degrees Celsius. President Gabriel Boric has warned that the country is facing a tragedy of great magnitude. After he flew over the affected area, he declared a state of emergency and has pledged government support to help people get back on their feet.
I want to communicate that I have decreed a national mourning for 2 days, starting February the 5th, because it's Chile as a whole that is suffering and crying for our deceased.
This is the country's deadliest disaster since an earthquake and tsunami hit in 2010. Scientists continue to warn that a warming planet has increased the risk of natural disasters such as intense heat and fires. Rising temperatures now threaten to engulf more of the continent, as brigades in Argentina have also been fighting fires. Now, a paper published in Nature Climate Journal has changed the claim that global temperatures have already exceeded the critical 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. Countries had agreed to strive for the limit as part of the 2015 Paris Agreement. As per previous estimates, it has not yet been breached. Our next report has more details.
Worried about the threat of climate change, world nations had set a target for themselves to limit global warming to no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. But a new study reveals that opportunity has already passed. Global temperatures may have already crossed the threshold. Scientists have based this information on an unusual source: centuries-old sponges living in the Caribbean Sea. As they grow, the species record the environmental conditions around them in their skeletons. By examining these skeletons, the researchers have pieced together a new history of the early decades of warming. And it points to a startling conclusion. By 2020, humans have raised global temperatures by about 1.7 degrees Celsius, and not the most commonly used value of 1.2.
We now have, I think, very definitive evidence that the temperatures reached 1.8 as the start of 2024. They've certainly passed 1.5 degrees C, and the rate of change is much faster than we thought. We're now seeing very rapid, major differences between the land and the ocean, and we're heading into a very dangerous, high-risk scenarios for the future, and the only way to stop this is to reduce emission.
Experts say the need is to take urgent action to curb carbon emissions and address the climate crisis, as we now have a decade less than we thought we did. But other scientists are skeptical of the study's claim. This is still a call for alarm, because if the sea creatures' calculations are correct and they're ignored, the repercussions can be huge. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Europe is witnessing a wave of farmer protests, falling incomes, high cost of input and tough competition with cheaper imports. All these have been digging a hole in the farmers' pockets. From France to Germany to Belgium, Poland, farmers have been taking to the streets to make their voices heard. But how are the ongoing demonstrations linked to climate change? Out of the many grievances voiced by European farmers, a major one has been scaling back of the European Union's green reform.
We are here to protest and to bring the attention of the European Commission about the various problems faced by the farmers, such as income and environmental obligations that increase day by day and affect their income.
The European Union is aiming to make the bloc climate neutral by 2050. The green policy includes targets such as cutting down the use of pesticides by 50% by the year 2030, devoting more land to non-productive trees and doubling organic production to 25% of all EU farmland. Farmers complain that the EU's such policies of the EU are economically unviable and unfair to them.
We are protesting here to show our discontent on what the European Union is currently proposing when it comes to the environmental legislation that will be affecting farmers, and also current frameworks that are threatening the livelihoods of farmers.
Many farmers complain that existing EU rules in areas such as irrigation and animal welfare are interpreted too strictly. Further, extreme weather events triggered by climate change are adversely impacting the farming community. Some water reservoirs stand only at 4% of their capacity in southern Spain. Wildfires have removed 20% of Greece's annual farm revenue last year. The farming sector accounts for 11% of the EU's greenhouse gas emissions. Farmers have already secured several measures, including policy to loosen some environmental regulation on fallow lands until the year 2025. Japan, meanwhile, is experiencing heavy snowfall, and a warning has now been issued for Tokyo. For the first time this year, heavier snow is expected in and around the Japanese capital, although forecasters say it will soon change to rain. Snow has blanketed a wide area in Tokyo and the surrounding region, causing widespread transport disruptions. According to reports, Japan Airlines has cancelled 46 flights to and from Haneda. Another 30 have been halted by All Nippon Airways. Many commuters in Tokyo headed home early to avoid expected transport disruptions. Residents carried umbrellas and dressed for the cold weather. The freezing weather is widespread across East Asia. Central and eastern China is also experiencing heavy snow. The snow, in fact, has disrupted transport and stranded travelers amid the annual spring festival rush. The airport in Wuhan has stopped operations on 2 of its runways due to adverse weather. Highway toll stations have been shut down due to blizzards. Thousands of travelers were stuck on a highway in the central province of Hubei. Many of them posted on social media that they were stranded for dozens of hours. India's famous winter wonderland is rejoicing as it is now welcoming a fresh batch of snowfall. Several parts of Kashmir, including Srinagar, witnessed snowfall, enthralling tourists and toddlers alike in the valley. Take a look.